Welcome to the Rick Elps Real Estate Show. Once again, coming back, trying to make sense of this crazy Arizona market. Today, we're going to look at a little bit of detail in the Federal Reserve's actions or lack of actions yesterday. We're going to take a look at what our population growth has been here in Maricopa and Pinal County. And we're going to do a little bit of a dive into the city of Mesa. So this morning, I interviewed Mike Orr with the Cromford Report, who lives in England. And I reached out to him because I wanted to talk to him about this National Association of Realtors settlement and how it kind of relates to how business is done in England. And it's wild. They don't have buyer's agents out there. They have solicitors. So it's that interview is going to post tonight at 6:00. Now it's not live, so you don't have to look at it right at 6:00, but please come back to the channel and take a peek at that and hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button because it's very interesting. And we talked about what kind of summer we're expecting here with these changes with the National Association of Realtors with this settlement. And, spoiler alert, it's not good for buyers. And we don't see sellers coming out that good either. I mean, they're saying, well, they're going to save money on real estate commissions, but I don't see them lowering their house because the price of their house because they're doing that. They may be lowering the price of their homes because the buyer pool is shrinking. So it's very interesting times coming ahead. Going to be very challenging, and we're going to continue to follow it and watch it and prognosticate all that fun stuff, just like we did with Federal Reserve. Here's an interesting one here: old versus new Fed statements with changes. And really, they just kind of lined out this that said job gains, and they had moderated since early last year, but remain strong. Well, they crossed that out and just said job gains have remained strong, and the unemployment rate has remained low. Inflation has eased over the past years, but remains elevated. So what does that mean? Well, they're hanging on. Their decision to stay the course for 3 rate cuts this year. Now, I want to stress something here when they say 3 rate cuts. Remember everybody standing on their soapbox and saying there's going to be 4 to 6 rate cuts this year? Here we go. It's going to be a busy spring. Where are we? It's an okay spring. It's not a busy spring. We haven't had a rate cut. Busy spring, not string. Hasn't happened. So you have to, when you listen to these fake experts, you got to really be a little bit cynical sometimes and just say, okay, well, what are they basing that on? And those hotter than expected inflation readings in January and February, Fed Chair Powell said Wednesday afternoon press conference, haven't really changed the overall story that inflation's moving down gradually on sometimes a bumpy road of 2%. I don't think that story has changed. And this article that I saw here, I thought did a great job of talking about how, central banks said they're going to be in this for longer, higher and longer, and they're sticking to it. This is just a projection for core PCE. Consumer Price Index inflation is back on the rise to an annual rate of 3.2, and core CPI has stagnated at 3.8. So a couple of things that we're seeing is house prices, they're still going up gradually. And Chairman Powell said the other day, well, he said in January, and he kind of touched on a little bit yesterday on a Q&A, but he can't do anything about increasing inventory. So they want to see this inflation number come down. They're saying that they're pretty sure that we're going to see 0.75 cut this year in 3 different phases. So that would be probably June, September, and December. But they're ready to take that off the table. So, if they cut too soon, they may have to come back in and start raising rates again. They don't want to do that. On the flip side, while he's concerned about shelter costs going up, the interest on our national debt's going up $2 trillion at a pop. So he's got to weigh that into consideration too. So it's kind of like, well, housing be damned. We got to see what's going on and watch that number closely. Bet a high Italy in the house. Right now, we are in Arizona for a quick visit. Well, shoot, how cool is that? Welcome here. I'm going to make a prediction. Want to bet a euro? 2 rate cuts this year at the most. I think that's a probably pretty safe bet. Maybe not even 2 rate cuts. We're looking at the inflation data. I mean, fuel's gone up. They're going to remove housing. He's not looking at that anymore. It's in the back of his mind, but it's not going down, folks. So I don't know. And this summer, with this change in the lawsuit, it's going to be an interesting summer. So all of the hurried promises of a busy March are now dashed. They're gone. Spring and summer, I think it's going to be the summer of unintended consequences. And people are going to be scrambling, trying to figure out how to conduct business, what we can do, what we can't do. It's going to be a lot of confusion. And I hope I can navigate everybody through that. But I'm just guessing right now what summer is going to be like. If those of you that don't know, National Association of Realtors said that we can't put buyer agent commissions on the multiple listing service, but we can put them on our own websites. And none of that makes any sense to me or a lot of people. But here's our population growth. Maricopa and Pinal counties are almost leading the nation. So Maricopa County saw the 4th highest raw numbers and population increase in 2023, while Pinal County, south of Phoenix, saw the nation's 7th highest level of net domestic migration. So how many people? Maricopa County welcomed 30,038 new residents. And between July 22 and July 23, clocking in an overall population of 4,425,102. They counted everybody. That made it the 4th largest county in the nation behind LA, Cook County, Illinois, Harris County, Texas. So people are still coming here. We're going to take a look at Mesa. Now, Mesa is, I don't think there's a city in Arizona that is more different depending on what part of town you go to. Downtown Mesa used to be kind of sleepy and not much going on. They put the light rail down there, and they've done some remodeling here downtown, not remodeling, rebuilding. And it's a kind of a happening place right now. They got some new restaurants, got a couple of brew pubs. It's kind of cool. And then the neighborhoods are kind of a cross between some of them just really run down and opulence. You get up by McDowell, Northeast Mesa, and you'll see some pretty cool looking houses there. Now, so what's going on here? Well, here's their listings. They're up from last year by about 200 homes. So nothing major. We did kind of have a flat line here, and we went up last week. So nothing's really knocking it out of the park there. And then we look at the average list price per square foot, and it's pretty much mirroring what we're seeing everywhere, except it did kind of come up a little bit, and it's been flat everywhere else. And that's probably because it's an average list price that luxury homes are on fire this year. They're doing really well, and that would be in this number. So you might see list prices kind of being level in most of Mesa, things like Eastmark. But then you get up by the mountains there, and you got those $4 million homes. That skews that number. Right here in the Cromford Market Index for Mesa, you can see that it's going up. So it's above 100, which is in favor of sellers. And if we compare that, let's just compare that to Phoenix for a moment and see where we're at. So if we just pull this down, you can see that Phoenix is flattened out at about 150, just staying right there. Good morning. 3-footer. All right. So that was, it's not in favor of buyers, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm still rattled from doing that interview this morning. You know that my screen, when I was talking to Michael, and he's in England, and great connection and everything, 2 times, both my monitors just went black. I thought I lost them. We were still on. They went black. And I thought, oh no. And then I hit my space bar and it starts playing something else. And So it's just like, holy cow, can I catch a break today? Sometimes the computer gremlins just jump up and raise their ugly head. Looking ahead to summer, and we're going to get the group on here and we're going to record something with Jackie and Ruby and Pat. And I'm probably going to end up being the devil's advocate on that. I'm looking at this summer, and I keep saying summer because these new rules that National Association of Realtors has implemented is supposed to take place in July, and nobody knows what to do now, what you can do, what you can't do. I think it's going to be utter chaos. And then a year from now, I don't know what it's going to be like. I mean, there's people cheering going, yay, realtors agreed to lower their prices from 6%. No, they didn't, because we never agreed to keep it at 6%. We don't fix the commissions. Yes, I understand there's some situations where realtors have not been very good at communicating about how the whole system works, but there's also a lot of, flat fee agents out there as well. That new program that's out there now, 69 something, list your house for $690. Let me tell you the details behind that, because it used to be 999.com, something like that. What it is, they'll list your house for that low fee if you bring the buyer in. Now, if they bring the buyer in through the MLS, then you're probably going to pay like 5%. But the program is designed to where you're driving the bus. So they'll put the sign up for you. They'll list it just like everything, put it on MLS. But for $699, you hold your own open houses, because it's to your advantage to get a buyer yourself. Procure that buyer. So you're going to do your own open houses. They'll give you some open house signs and you can do it. And so it's kind of taking all the legwork and putting it on you. And now if you procure that buyer, then yes, your commission's only going to be under $700, unless you're also tacking on a buyer's agent commission. But it's not just $699 and away we go. So there's a lot of provisions in that. So if you're looking at something like that, look at it carefully. Now, here's the kicker. Why do they do that? Well, when people come to look at your house, they want you to get all their contact information before they come in and see the house. Seems fair. And then they want you to share it with them. Seems fair, because guess what? Now those are active buyer leads. They've got a dozen buyers that looked at your house but didn't want it, but they want something else, and they didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to advertise. They didn't have to pay Zillow to get buyer leads. You're doing that for them. So if your house is sitting on the market for 3 months, yay. Because look at all the buyers that are coming to look at it. Look at all the contact information you're sharing with me. So it's called a store. It's a house that's not selling, but it's a house where people are visiting and you're getting a lot of buyer leads. It's called a store. And they're trying to build a lot of stores out there in this market right now. So when you look at a listing agreement, make sure you look at the details. And so we're going to kind of banter that back and forth. I think we're interviewing Jackie and Pat and Ruby today about 3:30. I don't know when it's going to post, maybe Sunday night. I'm looking at as much information as I can to figure out how this NAR thing is going to shake out. And right now, all I can say is that it's a proposal that hasn't been approved by a judge yet. So I think I don't think anything's going to change in how they've got it worded now. But I bet my bottom dollar next year, the whole thing's going to be blown up and started, because there's going to be lawsuits. And when you watch the interview with Michael Orr, he'll tell you, it takes 4 to 6 months to close on a house out there, and buyers are not protected. They hire solicitors, which are like attorneys, and they can be very expensive. But then you have to have a solicitor on both sides. You need one on the selling side. So you've raised the cost of buying a house out there, and it takes a long time. So I'm not nervous about it. I kind of like change. I'm going to be standing back and looking at it. In the meantime, if you're searching for homes, check out my website, rickhelps.com. I'm going to pull it up here. We just built it, and I built it to be easy. So it's got a live IDX feed in it, which means you click up here and you can search by city. I've already put the cities in. You can look Phoenix area properties, which is the whole MLS or Tucson area properties. If you want a valuation report, just fill this out here. We'll send you a report. We sent out another one yesterday. Thank you very much. And then down here in the bottom is a mortgage calculator. So trying to make this easy. It doesn't have any ads in it. It doesn't have a lot of different pages to navigate. There's just one, and you can go and find your city and take a look. And then when you get in the MLS, you can log in, sign up, and put on your own MLS portal to alert you when anything's updated and it's come on. So MS says, interesting timing to implement changes. We are in a buyer's market on multiple areas. More power for buyer's agent to negotiate. That's how I see it. There is more power for buyers to negotiate. There's no doubt. But they're making us sign buyer broker agreements before we show somebody a house. Now, in this buyer, and this is the confusing part, in this buyer agreement, we say something to the tune of, I charge, 2% to represent you as a buyer. Now, if the seller is not willing to pay that 2%, you agree that you will pay that 2%. Nobody's signing that. Are you? I think they're going to go directly to the listing agent. And so the buyers may think they have more negotiating power because they go, ooh, the seller doesn't have to pay that commission. I'm going to steer you towards for sale by owners and let me know how well that negotiating's work for them. Because for sale by owners, they don't lower their price very much and they tend to stick to their price a lot longer. Most for sale by owners give up after 17 days and then they list it. But I think buyers are going to go, they're not going to sign these agreements with the agents. I get it. I'm going to sell my worth. I'm worth it. I can negotiate for you. But if I got to pay for it as a buyer and I can't finance it, I'm not ponying up 2% or 3%. So I think what's going to happen, you're going to go directly to the listing agent. Well, who's going to write the contract? Not the listing agent. Are you? You don't have a contract. How are you going to get that done? You're going to hire a lawyer? So see how muddy this gets? And if there's buyers that can't pony up, and then the sellers are going to have a tough time because the buyer pool just shrank. There's not as many buyers out there. So they're going to have to lower the price of their home, not because they're saving money on commissions, but because instead of getting 5 people a week looking at the house, they're getting 1. What do I think about fixed prices for buyer's agents? That's already out there and it's been out there for a long time. I think there's one with my home group called flatfeerealtor.com. They charge $2,300. They've been there forever. Why do they do that? Well, they list your house, $2,300, and it's a store. They get a lot of open house traffic. They're really happy if 60 days out you haven't sold your house because they're meeting buyers, and they try to get both sides of it, get that 2,300 from you and then represent a buyer's agent. So there are some, let me backtrack just a little bit. There aren't as many for buyer's agents. I think it'll gravitate towards that. I agree with you. There's a ton of those out there for listings. So I made a mistake in speaking on that, but I think the whole structure is going to change. I think you're going to see a la carte. Here's how much I charge to show you 5 houses a week. I'll write a contract for X amount of dollars and I'll negotiate it. I will manage your inspection for X amount of dollars, maybe an hourly rate, because sometimes that takes days, to get the back and forth on that. So, it may end up being that the buyer's agents are charging like attorneys do. Here's the one thing. We're not going to work for free. So if there's a house out there that you really like and they're not paying a commission and you're not going to pay a commission, and yet you're tied to me with a buyer broker agreement, I don't think the buyer broker agreement has any teeth anymore. I think they're going to go, well, I'm going to go directly to the listing agent, buy this house myself. Well, what if the market picks up steam a little bit? Now there's 10 of you that want that house. Well, the seller's going to pick the offer that has no commission or low commission, because you can't see the offer, the buyer's agent commission on the multiple listing service. But when you write an offer, you can say, dear Mr. Seller, we would like you to include 2 to 3% to compensate the buyer agent along with this offer, and they can say yes or no, and it can go back and forth. That's where you get some negotiating going on that doesn't tilt towards the buyer at all. It doesn't help you. It's going to maybe help the seller. But what's to stop a buyer from saying, Rick, hey, I'm going to sign this agreement. Let's go. Let's go. And I say, okay, cool. You get out there, you find a house you really like. We write them an offer and ask them to kick in, I don't know, 2%. I keep using 2%. I'm just spitballing. And they come back and they say no. And then my buyers go, but I really want that house. That it's got everything I need. I'm going to go directly to the listing agent and I'm going to buy it. And, take me to court if you want, but that's what's going to happen. And I think that's going to start raising its head. I wonder if people be more willing to offer full price or a little above full price to include the buyer agent fee and a way of including it in a mortgage. I think they're going to try anything. You're going to see some creative stuff coming out there. Some of it creative in a good way, some of it not. I mean, we're already doing that with concessions. We want you to help out with some closing costs or help buy the rate down. So we submit a higher offer to cushion that. It still has to appraise. That may happen. I think if you see sales really dip, I mean, we're already seeing on the MLS now, and this rule isn't even active until July, but we're already seeing listings coming out there that are putting like a flat fee for the agent, or they're putting zero. And I'll tell you what, they're trying to avoid steering. In other words, me looking at all these listings going, okay, he's offering 2.5%. He's offering 3%. He's offering 1%. Oh, I'm not going to show that one. That's called steering. Well, now we don't have any idea. We have to call the agent, go, hey, I'm asking, is there any buyer agent compensation here? If there isn't, I'm not going. And I'll be up front with my buyers and go, I'm going to have to send you there directly because he's not paying me a dime. And so I don't know. We'll see what happens. And I think there's going to be some concierge service, like I said. And I'm working on something now. I've had a discussion with one of my subscribers here and talking about maybe doing a side hustle here with a consulting business. Let me know what you think. In other words, you don't know how to conduct real estate this summer. I'll consult for you. You make an appointment with me for an hour. And we'll go over the process. We'll go over the data in the neighborhoods, and there'll be a fee associated with this. It won't be much. And we'll just try to help navigate you through this process. So I'm starting to work on that now. It's probably going to take me about a month to get that up and rolling, but I'm hoping it is rocking and rolling before July, because that's going to be the witching hour. So tune in tonight at 6:00 or anytime after 6 to watch the interview with Michael Orr. The guy's very entertaining. It was a great interview, and I hope you get something out of it. Take care and have a great Thursday.